it was just, I suppose, conflicting, as, the glaring difference between, Judaism and Christianity is their disagreement on Jesus and his teachings, a lot of those practices. The reason I started looking into Islam and religion, again, in general, quite paradoxically, I guess, was because of a girl I was talking to right after high school. And while reading through it, it was really just eye-opening, honestly. It was. It was answers to questions about just life and existing and your relationship with God. I still love them. I always will. I'm not going to separate myself from them. They're so, like you said, Jewish Protestant, Jewish Christian, growing up. It's first of all, I want to state mostly it's Jewish, by blood. So half my family, like you said, is Jewish, and they came from Europe, an immigrant family. I'm first generation myself, not directly from Israel, just from around Czechoslovakia. And when they came here, it was a lot more of religion being really suppressed where they came from, under the Iron Curtain, under the USSR. So they really didn't bring a lot of Orthodox Jewish practices with them, but it was always a thing that it was always a thing I grew up with. It was always a thing that I knew who I was, where my family came from. But when it came to relationship with God, it really was more of a confusing aspect than anything. Lived here for most of my life, and I attended a Christian church with my, Christian parents, and well, both parents, but mostly them, and it was just, I suppose, conflicting, as the glaring difference between Judaism and Christianity is their disagreement on Jesus and his teachings, a lot of those practices. So it was listening to sermons from pastors of Christian churches, and then doing things like Hanukkah, doing things like Passover, and really not diving too far into either of them, which led me personally to be really, I guess, confused and conflicted. My sister, she absorbed a lot of it and kind of just like, she loved it. She loved that there was two different sides of it. She was like, yeah, this is cool, and this is cool. The reason I started looking into Islam and religion again in general, quite paradoxically, I guess, was because of a girl I was talking to right after high school. I had just gotten out of this terrible breakup, but we had started talking just like through Instagram. Like we would just like an Instagram story or something and just like react to it. And we started talking a little more till eventually we were like hanging out in person every once in a while. She is a Muslim girl. And we would talk about religion, about that, because obviously, you know, like American dating, Western dating is not what you do, you know? Through her life, she got rather disconnected from Islam, and she always felt really, really guilty about that, about being away from it, about it was something that, you know, we would talk about occasionally, where it was like occasionally I would ask her questions and we would discuss religious ideas, because I, you know, despite being disconnected from religion, I had a lot of backlog of research. I read through about 75% of it by the time that Ramadan came up, and while reading through it, it was really just eye-opening, honestly. It was. It was answers to questions about just life and existing and your relationship with God, and it was so much more information. But with the Quran, it was it was concise. You can understand it, and you know, as it said, Islam is supposed to be easy, so easy to understand, easy to implement into your life. And I made the decision a couple days into Ramadan that I would take my shahada. I did on the third day, I think. Because apparently in their belief, the Quran specifically talks about, you know, wanting to eliminate Jews from lands and stuff, and everywhere a Muslim person goes becomes Muslim land, and they want to, you know, spread everywhere across the world or whatever. And me, you know, joining the ranks, I guess they really didn't like that. I don't really talk to them about it as much as that's like a, I don't know. I wish I could change their minds. I wish I could have them, you know what we know and see what we see. Even it's so obvious to us. Of course, it's right there. It's in writing. It's in the minds of millions of people, and somehow they just can't. They won't be convinced. You know, I still love them. I always will. I'm not going to separate myself from them.